What's up, YouTube? This is Hector.
This is Drew.
And we're from Not2Nerdy Entertainment. Today is episode 9 of our podcast, and we're going to be going over a couple games that we did throughout the week, as well as one debatable topic. Well, I think it's debatable, so we'll see what the topic will be. So let's start out with the first game, which is Mass Effect 3. Drew, you did this one, so how do you like the game? Tell us your reactions.
This is excellent. I really love this game. Definitely, so far, my game of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
So
it wasn't too difficult. I mean, based on what we were playing. Like, there's some pretty good games, but nothing compared to this. This is another caliber. This is definitely like a AAA experience. So, first off the bat, I really like the story.
So it's better. You already say better Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Kingdoms,
Absolutely.
All right.
I mean, even though they're both RPGs, they're kind of different. One's a shooter, one's a fantasy role playing, more like character action game. But yeah, no, Mass Effect. It's just a story alone. I mean, when we were talking about Hamilton, we were talking about how the story is supposed to branch out based on your decisions, stuff like that, and that's one of the things I didn't like. Mass Effect, even there's too much branching out.
Much?
I mean, I was listening to the director of the game, Casey Hudson. He was talking about they don't even know all the different choices. Do they have some big flow chart somewhere with all these different choices? Where they put this stuff? Someone must know it. And they're saying, I guess the QA people are the really only ones that know if things work or not, because they have to test out, see which certain choices, if the right outcomes come. But yeah, I mean that's one of the best aspects of the game. You can carry over your character from the previous games. There has been some issues with that, so I chose to just do the default Shepard and the default save if you were a new player. And I found that's pretty satisfying.
Well, that's pretty cool. They gave it an option.
Yeah,
so
I was really glad they did, because and when I played Mass Effect 2, all my characters died except Miranda. So I was able to see all these different characters that I saw from the first game and the second game that I liked, which was pretty cool.
So your story would have been different. Someone else did.
Yeah,
they all
it would. I think I wouldn't have as much as a good time if I started with my Mass Effect 2 save, because I wouldn't get to interact with all those different characters, and romance them and all that stuff.
Into romance,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's another. At first, man, my Shepard, man, he was really in the friend zone, man, a lot.
Oh, really?
It was pretty bad, man.
Oh man,
it was pretty embarrassing.
Friend zone's always bad, YouTube. I don't know anything about that. I'm just letting you know from what I heard. It's bad.
It was pretty bad, man. But I want to try to keep away from spoilers. But Shepard did finally get down. He was getting into it. But I kind of felt like I could have romanced a little bit more, man. But this game, man, it's hard, man. It's like real work, man. It's like real life. You gotta put in the work.
You have to have game in order to romance.
Yeah, man. You gotta talk to them after every mission, man. You gotta pay attention to what they're saying, and it's just like real life. You have to pretend like you care what they're talking about. It's unbelievable. I was like, I'm trying to save the world, but you girls are killing me in this game, man.
The best part is you can still press a mute button. That's the only thing that's not you can always press a mute button and be like, alright, I don't want to listen to this chick talking.
They still have the subtitles on the screen. You know what I mean? Unless you're gonna totally ignore it, and you have to listen, because you have to make good responses back. It's interactive. It's not like a cutscene or anything. So I really like that. I felt like they really they wrapped up the different characters. I mean, there's little minor complaints. I would like some characters to spend more time with than others. AKA Miranda. You really didn't get to spend as much time, and she wasn't like a crewmate like how she was in the second game, which that's the only character I saved for the second game, so it would have been nice. But I think they bring a lot of new characters into it as well. I'll talk about one character that has been the big controversy. After I just talk about the game in general, because I don't want to get into that. When I'm talking about some of the bad things, I don't about the game. But besides that, I really felt like they listened to the community and made the improvements in terms of gameplay that was needed from the second one. The second one, I feel like compared to the first one, they really upped the action part of the game. They made the shooting better, cover mechanics, made it. But what the main complaint was that they took a lot of the RPG mechanics away, which I like that. In this third one, they really found that good balance where they had the RPG elements and the good shooter elements. And this is really one of the only games I could think of, besides maybe a Borderlands or something like that, that really blends that great RPG with that shooter.
See, the funny thing is, though, people were actually worried about that before this game's coming out, if they're going to be able to combine the two. Because when people heard that, oh, it's going to go towards the shooting side now, like, they're like, oh, it's going to change the whole game. People are, people are really into the RPG part. They're like, oh, it's going to change the whole game and stuff. But from what you're saying, they blended it well.
Yeah, see, because I think they're smart. They know exactly what to do. And when it comes to, like, when you're doing the action part of it, we don't want dice rolls when you're shooting and stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it really doesn't. Like, it's supposed to be based on your skill, how good you shoot. What they focused on in the RPG elements was what they needed to, which is, like, the loot of the game and, the skill trees and so forth. So the good part about it is, like, you go always respect your character and put your points into different skills. So, you'll pick your class, like you have biotics and stuff, and then you have like the Vanguard, which I picked, and you can put the different skills into it as well. And then you have your characters as well. You can put different points in that. So you'll always have a well-rounded, type of crew where you have one character have biotics, another one's more like a soldier, and I was like a Vanguard. It was kind of like a mix between
so the whole
two.
thing is like balanced.
Yeah, and it's balanced. And I really liked. I don't even remember if this was in the second one, but I like that they had you could customize your different armor, which was pretty cool. Like at the start of the game, like since I played Amalur, I got that Amalur armor, which was pretty cool. And I really liked it. And then the different armor, like each piece of it, you would collect different armors throughout the levels, and then each one of them had different stat bonuses as well. So like they have the great RPG stuff that you need, and every weapon you could put different mods on it as well. I mean, I talked about that in anticipated podcast. You could put like more ammo or better stability on the guns and stuff like that, and scopes and so forth. Like they really went into the
They really did detail.
Yeah, they really did.
That's what people want. I mean, they wanted that, but I mean, it's funny because like I heard a lot of good reviews by even the people that are just focused on the RPG part, people that just want that, and people that were protesting the whole. Like, they didn't want the more shooter style. They wanted the original style, RPG style. Yeah. And they actually enjoyed it, too. So I thought, that was a good mix. And
they really did a really good job. It's really amazing that they can make games nowadays where they can blend these genres and it works. Like, and besides that, I mean, they really just, I felt like for, some, a series that's been around for 5 years, I think, they really made it so that you remember like different decisions you made in the first two games, and it really had consequences. Like it wasn't something like it was just like glossed over. Like we just put this in the game just to say so. Like it really what you did in the first game really affected what went on. With these different relationships. You would go meet people and you would catch up. It's just like seeing old people from like high school or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like it gives you that same cool feeling.
Hey, how you been? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? Like that
man. It's really cool, man. How they a game can do that nowadays, man. Like it's very rare for that to happen. Where it creates this type of world where you just get lost in, man.
It's good though. It makes you feel like you're part of the world. That's what that's really good. It's always a good game when it does that.
And it's just real interesting, like the lore of the world as well too. Like they have they have this codex you can have. They actually have an iPad app too, and you can read up on it, all the different races and like all their different wars. And it's like real interesting to especially like the dynamic between the Krogans and the Solarians and I forgot the other. The other race, but basically the whole entire dynamic where the Solarians tested on the Krogans and basically wiped out their race because they I guess they emasculated. So I guess would be the word. I mean that's what they basically did. Like they emasculated the race because they were too aggressive, and like that was the only way to stop them from reproducing so much. And it was it's pretty cool. I mean, I forgot the name of the race, but it's whatever the one that Garrus is. That's the other one. They were on the side of the Solarians as well.
What's that called? Yeah, I'm not even sure the name of the race. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
So just for context, so they know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and they were on the Solarian side, which is Solarian is Morton's character, and then Krogan is Rex, of course. And I really like that. I want to try to stay away from spoilers, but I mean. It was pretty early in the game, that whole entire dynamic, with the female Krogan and so forth. Like, I just thought that was really interesting, the different dynamics. And then, of course, you have the Cerberus stuff. They wrap that up pretty good, and Miranda's, of course, involved in the Cerberus stuff, so, I'm not going to spoil what happens with that, but, I feel like they touch all bases, of stuff they introduced in the first game and then the second game, and, like, it all carries over, and, like, it's just not black and white, which I really like as well. Like, all the decisions you make, it's really, it's like a real war. I mean, like, there's always going to be casualties. You just have to kind of take advantage of, what's going to be the best outcome based on your decisions, Like, if you side with one group, you're going to upset the other group, but, with that group, you might have better, a better fleet, when it comes to fighting the Reapers,
So it's really the way they design and stuff like that. They really want you to focus on, to really understand that your decision really matters. So it's one of those games where your decision truly matters throughout the game. Like, you could do stuff and like...
Yeah, and I feel like it's really overwhelming at times. And I don't think it's like a bad design thing or anything. I just think it's just like...
Too many choices?
I just think it's just the way it is. Like, I think in life, there's a lot of choices too, And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is really subjective, I think. Like, a lot of the side content I really don't want to do because I just want to get straight to the main quest, But, who knows, like, what side content, what that would have brought to your... Because you had, like, this galactic readiness thing, how prepared you are to fight the Reapers, and, like, based on the amount of side quests and, like, different choices you have, and also some out-of-the-game stuff, like they have an iPad app and, if you play the multiplayer as well, like, that prepares the, the readiness to fight the Reapers. So, based on those decisions, they have that too, Besides what, decisions you make through the main quest, who you side with. So, I mean, like, this is a great game for you too, because I'll watch, like, my decision I made, and then I'll watch, the reverse of what happened if you didn't make that decision. And it's just, like, it's so amazing that they can, handle each decision you make very well, It's really depending on how you feel about that character,
Now, since you brought up that side content, the side missions, now I heard that there's a lot of parts in the game where side missions are time-based. So, like, if you miss the side missions, that's something to, like, go back, like, I missed this, let me go back to that part.
And that's actually a good point. I think in terms of what I didn't like about the game, that's the probably the number one complaint. And it's kind of hard to, look at that from, a critic's point of view, whether or not that's a bad thing or not, because I think it's like, this is not an open world game. It's a linear RPG. And, there are two different types of games, Open world, you do whatever you want, whenever. And like a linear, like, you really, like, and it kind of makes sense. Like, and I feel like they did a good job of, like, covering that basis if you didn't do it. Like, a lot of times, like, you'll be talking to a character and they're like, we lost this person. And that's because you didn't go and side mission, so
that's cool, man.
And what I didn't like is that, still to this day, and I played Mass Effect this way, is like, it's really helpful if you have, like, a walkthrough or something, or wiki or something that you look at, because, like, you won't know, for example, a new character in the game, Jessica Chobot. I didn't even see her because I found out once I went to that Citadel the first time, if I didn't go see her, I wouldn't be able to see her again, and Miranda too. Like, I couldn't romance Miranda because I didn't meet her the first time. Same thing with Ashley. So it's like, if you don't do it at that certain time, like, you miss it. And that could be any other character, But at the end of the day, you know what? I kind of feel like, it's my story. I played it the way I played it without looking, how it's supposed to be done. And I feel like that's at least that's the true way of doing it. I could have did it to the T and looked it up online, but, it wouldn't be as fun, Because I want that element of surprise of what's going to happen, And I feel like if you look it up online and you know exactly what's going to happen, like, it kind of ruins it for yourself, And you get in spoiled territory. If you know exactly what to do and what the outcome is going to be, it's not the same as when you're watching it and you discover it based on what you did,
Yeah, because, like, it's pretty cool in the way that, like, I like that they allow you to create your own story. Like, that's the one aspect that, that you truly are creating your own story. Every choice you make, it's going to have a different outcome. And, everything you do has the consequence. So it's pretty cool that they, at the end, the story that you get at the end is related to what you did. So, like what else did you not like about the game?
Okay, so the biggest thing, we're really beating that horse with EA, but, there's no way to avoid it because the whole community's talking about it. It upset me, and the funny thing is I didn't even know what it was until like I actually realized. So I mean the DLC, day one DLC, there's a whole controversy. It should have been on a disc. I completely agree. I mean, it was funny because I'm doing the game, and then I read one of our comments on our channel. And they're like, "Oh, you should go to this planet for this and whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let me try it out." And I actually go, and I figure it out. That's the DLC. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, if I didn't buy this, I wouldn't even know this major part of the story, like a really integral part. I mean, should I spoil it? I'm not sure. I mean, if you don't know what the DLC is.
Well, it's not spoiled, but I will say to add on to that, from what I heard from everyone else online, different people. I heard that EA pulled it out of the game. It was originally.
It was on the disc.
It was on the game, and they pulled it out to make people download.
And it really feels like that because it's really integral. It's not like one of these things where it's a couple extra maps or something for your multiplayer. Like this is integral to the story. Like this is a major race that it's talked about through the whole entire game, and you actually get to meet that race and find out their backstory. And it's that was one of the best missions in the game, especially most memorable. And you get a crew member. I mean, the thing is I can understand. All right, yeah. I mean, this is just taking it to another level. Like last Mass Effect, all right, if you bought this, you bought the game new, you got the code for the Cerberus network, and then you got the extra mission. Which okay, that's fine. All right, I can deal with that. But now it's like I get up to GameStop, I pre-order the game. I didn't know anything about this DLC. I get up to $10 for day one DLC. Well, yeah, of course I'm gonna take the day one DLC because I know they're gonna run game on me if I don't buy it. I start the game. I gotta type in the code for the game for the online pass. I gotta type in the code for the DLC. I gotta type in the code for the armor. And then I got to download all this. It took me an hour when I got the game. At 12 o'clock, I got work in the morning. It took me an hour to actually play the freaking game. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
It's like this. It's like here you go. Here's 4/5 of the game. Yeah. Oh, if you want that 1/5, you're gonna have to purchase day one DLC. What? This tell me the game they just took out alright, DLC. I'm sorry to say this, YouTube, but. Download content for me always. When it's download content, it should be an addition to the game later on. Later on, after people play for a month, 2 months, then that's a way to extend the life of your game. And you say, oh, DLC's coming out, fine, that's great. Call of Duty does it all the time, new maps, new missions, great. But you mean to tell me that now they're getting to the fact that they're taking away part of the actual story mode of the game, and they're going to pull that part out and force you to buy it because they know people are going to have to buy it. Because the whole point of you getting the regular games would be pointless.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a cut and dry thing where you feel passionate about the series. You're not gonna not give them $10 and miss out and protest them because you don't like the whole entire concept. It gets you a real difficult spot for me because it's like. I love the story too much to miss out on it. You know what I mean? What am I gonna do? Not play it and then go look it up on YouTube or something like that? I have to play it.
The only DLC that I think that they should do day one or day two, or it's for hardcore gamers, hardcore fans that actually want a certain armor something that makes their character look different in the game, and they want to enjoy their story with their character in a different game, but something that completely switches the story. It should not be allowed on day one. There's no way. Not even day 20. I think it's got to be a good month or 2 months afterwards. And it has to be addition to the game.
And they've done that with Mass Effect too. I mean, they have really good side content, and it's cool because they mention that. Even if you don't know about it, they mention it in the game, that the different side content. But I felt like that, that's what it was. It was side content, separate missions, independent from the story. It should be something that enhances the game, not something that should be included. That's pretty much it, how I feel on that, And, that's pretty much it in terms of what I didn't like about it. I mean, it's really a hard game to, really complain about it because I feel like they hit all the major points, I mean, but... The only one major complaint, the controls does take a while to get used to. Because, the whole entire thing of a third-person shooter, they map everything to the freaking A button. So, sometimes, it gets a little clunky, It's the A button is to jump over. The A button is to vault. the A button is to take cover. The A button is to pick up items. Like, you know, you get into the situations where, you know, there's a gun or ammo, probably a gun, like, or something like that to pick up, and it's right next to the cover, and you're like hitting the button, and it's like picking up the item instead of like hit both the cover, and you're getting shot and you die or something like that. That stuff happens like that, but it's not as bad as like something like Uncharted or something like that, where I felt like they pulled too many enemies at you because the main reason is, you know, you have your companions with you, so, you know, they have skills and you have skills as well that, like, you know, that it kind of blends it out. If it was like a pure shooter, then that's something I think I would really like focus on and take points off of the score, because, you know, it's a shooter. But I felt because they had that combination where, you know, you had multiple ways to overcome things that, like, it kind of worked out, you know, because you could lay that at Skyrim as well, you know, another great game that, like, I feel like, you know, the combat's a little clunky as well, but I think, like, they give you so many different ways to, you know, overcome the different enemies in the game. Like, it still keeps it interesting, you know. And besides, also the AI in the game can be retarded at times, you know. Especially the Freddie Prinze Jr. character, James. Like, he's a real, like, hard ass. Like, and there'll be like a freaking mech, and he'll be like going straight up to the mech shooting him. I'm like, bro, get behind cover. Like, and then I'm pressing the button, like, you know, get behind cover, and he's sitting there still shooting at him. I'm like, freaking idiot. And then I gotta go over there and you know, revive you because you're an asshole. Like, freaking, and then put me in danger, you know? And, like, they, just little minor things, like, they map the powers, like, you can map a power on the diagonal for both characters, and that's the same as that button to move the character. I don't know why they did that. That made no sense. They could have used the up and down diagonal to do that. Or, you know, vice versa. It doesn't really matter. I don't understand why they did that. and the funny thing, too, like, they actually did one smart control thing that I wish they would put in other games. Yeah. This game didn't really need it because there was a lot of auto-saving, but, like, the back button on Xbox was a quick save. Like, why? I've been saying, like, every freaking game should have this. Yeah. Like, like the PC. Like, you have a button on the PC, quick save. Like, why don't we have that on the console? Like, obviously there's enough buttons to do it. Like, so, like, developers should definitely take that hint. Put a quick save button, especially, like, a game like Deus Ex or something like that. Because you know how many times I went to the freaking menu to save the game and that? So, you know, but...
There's one thing that I'm going to ask you right now that a lot of people, if you haven't heard YouTube, a lot of people have been complaining about this issue. And it's talking about now the end of the game, right? There's supposed to be the perfect ending to the game, the best ending in the game. Now, rumor has it, from a lot of people I heard, that in order to get the best ending in the game, you have to play multiplayer. You have to play multiplayer. That's right. You have to play a multiplayer game to get the best ending for the story mode of the game, which I've never heard of ever before. This is, to me, this is the first. I've never heard that you have to unlock it by playing hours online in order to unlock the best ending. So, like, what do you feel about that? What do you feel about it? Because I think that's ridiculous.
It's basically to the same point that I feel like if you have to look something online and to know how something's going to happen, that really takes it out. That makes it more of a video game than an actual experience. And I feel like if you got to go look up online, you have to do all these different side things, you know, go play the multiplayer for 2 weeks or whatever the hell they want you to do, just to get the better ending or do all the side missions, then I really feel like that's going to, you know, tamper the experience. But at the same time, it's kind of subjective. What is the best ending? What, you know, I think, like, I kind of feel like, you know, all games don't have to have a happy ending, go-lucky story. Like, that's not how life is. So, you know, in terms of that end, like, you know, there's a big petition now that people want them to change the ending. You know, they have a chip, I think it's like a chip in, kind of like a Kickstarter, and they raise like $50,000 for charity so that Bioware can change the ending. And, like, people, they're never going to be happy. That's what I feel.
My thing is this. When they change the ending, or which ending are they changing?
That's what I'm saying.
Are they changing, are those people, do they know about the online content? Because that's the thing. Like, if this happened in the beginning, the way it sounds like all the people that you know, had a fundraiser and stuff like that, this happened so early. I don't know if they heard or found out that you had to play multiplayer first in order to do that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, maybe they didn't know that they had to play multiplayer to unlock the ending. That's why people didn't like the actual ending of the game itself. The ending they gave you. And then they realized afterwards that, well, there's a better ending, but in order to get that better ending, you have to play hours of multiplayer to get that.
And you know, what I've been reading is, you know, a lot of what their point is that, oh, well, you know, Fallout 3, they changed their ending because people don't like the ending to Fallout 3, and, you know, Bethesda released a patch and actually changed the ending because they heard so many complaints, and then, you know, the ending was worse. This is supposedly, you know, it was like, it still didn't make any sense. So I feel like people, you know, it's such a subjective thing that people are always they're always gonna be upset no matter what, you know, they put in for the ending.
The best part is this though, for the multiplayer, when you're playing multiplayer, not only do you have to play the multiplayer a certain amount of hours consistently, if you lose a day, one day of not playing the multiplayer, you also lose the points that you just gained towards getting the perfect ending.
That's retarded.
So it's like time based. So like meaning that the whole reason why they're doing, obviously they want more people online, more people playing the game over and over. Because when they add more maps or whatever they do to the game, people are gonna.
It just doesn't make sense.
The fact is that on top of it, you lose points that you got towards getting the perfect ending if you don't play it every single day. That's crazy because a lot of people can't.
I mean, the thing is though, like people are so hardcore about this series, man. They're gonna do it. You know what I mean? And I think people like me, like we're, you know, I can kind of, you know, I can be a little bit more open about the way things are. Like I can settle with, you know, whatever my ending is for the game and be happy because I kind of feel like, you know, that's how I played this experience. You know, they treated me like a grown up. They didn't make me go, oh, you have to go do this and that, you know, because you're completionist and to get the perfect ending. Like, you know, treat me like a grown up. You know, I choose what I want to play the game like. So I choose the ending I'm gonna get at the end. Yeah, I don't like that. You know, I have to go research. I have to play a game a certain way. I really hate that. You know, I think when a game has to take you out of the game, they're not doing a good job. But at the same time, you know, you gotta give them a lot of credit because for whoever's coming up with these flowcharts to figure out what to do this and do that, like it's pretty amazing nowadays, man. You know, for them to, you know, take on a game and, you know, cover it for 5 years and really, you know, flush it out where everything you do really matters, and, you know, it's not like black and white. It's, you know, it's, you know, games are really getting up there. You know, you're getting close to other mediums where, you know, they're evoking, you know, different things than just your pure action. You know, summer movie blockbuster. You know, they're like getting to different parts of what, you know, experience should be. So
that's cool.
So yeah, I mean, there's depending on how you feel, you know, I think you if you want the best ending, research what you need to do and do it. If you're like me, you know, play the game how you want to play it, you know, and just be satisfied with, you know, you made those decisions and that's the outcome.
The good thing is for that the best ending or perfect ending or whatever they said, even if you beat the game, and when you unlock that best ending, they're gonna send you three missions before the ending. 2 or 3 missions before the ending. So you're still going to have to do those missions again, but you don't have to play the whole game over or anything like that to get the mission. You just start from the mission like 3 before the ending, and then you'll get the perfect ending.
Yeah, so, and the thing about that is, like, you're free to do that. To me, that kind of breaks the experience for me, but for some people, like, they like to, you know, reload their saves and make different decisions and, you know, do different things or reload an earlier save and go back to earlier content. Or, you know, reload a save for, like, DLC that comes out. Like, you know, people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you want to get the whole entire experience of the game, that's fine.
Well, I think that's why they probably added that quick save feature in there in the first place, because they want people, I can save here, and then
that's
what's make another decision.
Good about it. So, I mean, it's definitely there if you want it. I think that's the balance you need in game design. Like, for people who just want to go through the experience, like, you'll have a good time. People who want to be completionists, it's there for you, you know. And no way is wrong, and no one's better than the other. It's really depending on, you know, what do you want out of your Shepherd story. So on that note, I mean, I think Mass Effect 3, definitely buy the game, definitely get the DLC, because you're gonna miss out a lot if you don't do either of those things.
Definitely, by about next week you'll have the review, right? So definitely check out the review for you on the website.
Yeah, and I pretty much will have the Earth section probably by the weekend, so it'll be complete. The whole entire walkthrough will be up. I might do a little bit of multiplayer. I'm not sure. I mean, I've kind of covered that for the demo, but we'll see how things go in terms of the schedule.
Right.
So you played Street Fighter X Tekken. So
yeah,
tell us
that's
a little bit about
another
that.
big release. That's probably the biggest release for a fighting game right now. You're looking at Street Fighter, which is the biggest 2D fighting game in the history, of fighting games. And then you got the best 3D fighting game, which is Tekken. So how would they meet? How would they collide? Their worlds collide. Well, let's just start by saying this is a different game, okay? And when I mean different game, it's not really like Street Fighter 4. There's some moves there, but they change the moves, they change the layouts. And people are like, oh, it's the same thing. Well, some of the basic things are the same. But there's little things, like for example, even characters, I'm going to start with characters Street Fighter side, because a lot of people are familiar with them, people have been around for a while. So you got people like Chun-Li, okay? Chun-Li has been there, Street Fighter 2, back in the day, you playing that in arcade and stuff. Since forever, Chun-Li has always had a lightning kick. And lightning kick is you repeatedly tap any kicks, a low kick, middle kick, or a high kick, right? And doesn't matter which one you do, if you repeatedly tap, eventually she's going to do a lightning kick, and then she's going to start kicking. Whether in the air, you're down, wherever you are, you're going to kick repeatedly. In this game, they took that out. Meaning, they didn't take out the move, they changed the move. Now you have to do half circle forward and then a kick. You have to do different, there's actual buttons to do it now. Now it's control. And it's not just like that for her move. There's different people in Street Fighter side. And the reason why I think they did this is to control the spam in the moves. Because especially someone that's brand new, or a lot of people that aren't new use it. A lot of pros use it on purpose. Like if they're backed up, they'll use their lightning kick real quick, and they just repeatedly press a button, and then they'll do another move off that. And you could repeatedly do her kick over and over and over again, and someone that's not too great at blocking is going to fall for that move. So they took it out, so now you have this time base. They're going to have to do a move like off that. So right off the bat, as soon as I noticed that, I'm like, oh great, now I have to learn Street Fighter characters over again. I got to see what moves they took out from Street Fighter characters on top of me learning Tekken characters. So that right off the bat is just crazy. So then we go into who else. Let's say like Ryu is not as quick as he used to be. Ryu is different moves. He's like the time base of Ryu. I noticed the combos are different. I try to do I had a 10-hit combo for Street Fighter 4 that I did with Ryu that took off a pretty good percentage of life. It keeps dropping after the 5th hit. The reason why I found out is because his timing for his high kick is completely different. So that alone just makes me like, oh man, the timing is different in this game, which isn't good. So now let's go into like the features that they have in this game that's completely different from any game that they had. The biggest feature is gems. They added gems to this game. All right. For those that don't know what gems are, gems can anytime you beat up someone a certain way, you collect gems on the bottom of the screen, and your character lights up in the color of the gem that he gets. Now, he or she gets. If each gem has a different thing, a different style. It could be extra strength, the extra strength, speed, is agility. There's different things for the gems. Now, the funny thing about the gems is, like, you could set up your gems the way you want to. That's right. You could go into the setting before the game and preset your gems according to your fighting style. So you gotta practice and know what your fighting style is, what characters are using, and know what type of gems you're gonna have. Now, people were worried about this because they're gonna be like, well, isn't this gonna make the game unfair now? Because people that have certain super strength gems, like when they unlock it, isn't it gonna be harder to fight them now? Like, they're just gonna be over powerful. Like, imagine like Zangief with like super strong gems. When he already hits pretty hard, he takes a huge chunk, and he has all these gems. Well, there's different things you can do with the gems. So you could, on the defensive part of the gems, you can also defend people that are powerful like that as well. So
is this something like you preload, like before
the
game?
You have to do the setting before the game. Now, a lot of people are also worried because tournaments, stuff like that, how the hell are we going to preload this? People already pause the game when they're in tournaments to set up their control scheme. Everyone has their own control scheme for the arcade stick. Everyone does their own thing. So it takes up a lot of time to do that. Now, what Capcom came up with a solution, they had some tournament setting or whatever that you could download. I think it's going to be downloadable soon. Like, they said it's going to be downloadable. Already they have it for tournaments at least. I know that much. So what it is, you can actually take a USB drive, alright? And just put it in there, flash drive, and get whatever settings you want, and you'll be able to put it into your system. So anytime you go anywhere, it's already preset. It'll be able to read your setting, your gems that you have.
And these gems are different loadouts, kind of for each character.
Each character, stuff like that. So like you could like pre-save and stuff like that, which. I mean, just think about how many characters are, think how many combinations, how many gems and stuff like that.
So this is something like more like Call of Duty where you have like a different class for a different situation?
In a way, if you want to think about it, I would say like you have like your style. Like, you know, you want to add extra speed to Chun-Li or you want to do something like that. Like, that's all purpose of the gems. But there's so many things that you could go outside of gems. When you have, alright, there's 3 total gems on the bottom. That's first and foremost, right? Each time you get the gem, you do different speeds. The new things that they add in the game are this. Now, when you get full EX and full gems, right, you could do certain things. You could do your normal special hyper combo attack, which is like the, you know, this slow motion attack, and they, you know, it turns into like a movie, like a cutscene, and they do like a really huge chunk of damage. That's that. They also have a team attack now, where you start doing that motion, you kick the person and you throw them across screen and your teammate comes in and does his super attack like that as well. That's that motion. They also added this now. Now this is crazy, okay? It's called Pandora, alright? This part, Pandora, right? You know, like Pandora box, like how they do it. Pandora, when you unlock Pandora, okay? Your character, one of the characters, right? Whoever you unlock Pandora with will highlight, his whole body will turn a different color, like a pinkish color, and he kills himself. He sacrifices himself, and then your teammate comes in, and he has super strength, and he has a certain time limit. If you run out of the time limit with Pandora, that's all you have left. You have like a whole, I forgot how much percentage more health, but you have a huge like strength advantage, and you have to kill off the other enemies before your time limit runs out. I think it's, I don't even remember what it is, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, and you have that much time. You have to do as much as you can, otherwise you die. If you don't beat them that amount of time, you die. So it's a risk. Now,
this is an extra mode that's in the game, or
that's in every feature. When you unlock that, you could choose to do Pandora. Okay. Now this, it could be a strategy now. Like, if you're close to being another person but you're almost dead, like, you have to do something. Say you see the clock's almost running out, you're gonna lose anyway, right? You have one last chance, like 15 seconds. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do Pandora right now. Boom! I sacrifice one player, and I have to beat them in a certain amount of time. Yeah. If I don't kill them, I lose. But if I'm looking,
so this is like an extra element of strategy if you're playing like
because
a team-based
I'm looking at, well, it's all team-based. It's 2 players, 2 on 2. So I'm looking at the clock, and it's 15 seconds. I'm gonna lose this fight anyway. My last resort to make this one person super strong and try to beat the other person. Now, that strategy, obviously, I tried to pull it off. It hasn't worked yet. Like, I have not accomplished it. I don't know, maybe when I get my combos better, it might work very well. But as of right now, that's a huge risk. Because you're killing one guy to make the other one super strong. It's a huge risk. You know, not to mention, you need to save all of your, you know, the gems and the EX, stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy, the stuff that you can do in this game. But I'll tell you right now, it's pretty cool from what I see in the game so far. But the gems are confusing, and it's, you know, it's something you got to practice into. There's a lot of different systems and stuff for the gems that you can use, but they are kind of confusing now, especially for beginners and stuff like that. It's harder. But the purpose of the gems are, once you unlock a gem, you can do certain moves easier. Like, it'll be like, for example, like, you have to do down, forward, and 2 buttons will do a special attack for Reed, right? He does his fireball, right? Now, I do, well, that's EX fireball, which is stronger fireball. Now, and if I have, if I want the special be down, forward, and 3 buttons at the same time, he'll do a special. Now, when you have certain gems unlocked, you can just press forward and the 1 button, and it does everything. So, like, you don't have to do down, forward, anything. You just press the 1 button, and they'll do it. That's what gems do. It makes it easier for you to do certain moves out. And the more gems you get, the better you can do it. So that's just a shortcut with gems and stuff like that. So gems could help newer people, but at the same time, like, it's all strategy. Now it's all strategy. And the fact that they change button layouts, it's no longer those 20 hit combos. It's really hard to pull off a lot of combos. I've been trying. The biggest combo I had was 14, and it looked good. It took away half a life, but in reality, like, you know, I had super strong people.
Yeah.
So we go into that now, the Tekken side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Tekken characters, if you played Tekken before, you know it's all three-dimensional. You can sidestep and do all that 3D world, you know, style of fighting. And obviously you can't do that in this game because it is 2D based.
Yeah.
So you got to think of it as a Street Fighter world, and Tekken characters are brought into that. So it's pretty cool, the fact that you use Tekken fighters. They have certain moves that are the same that you would do in Tekken, but you have to do it a different way, sometimes different buttons, stuff like that. But in reality, the highlighted moves, like, I like using Law, right? Law is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he imitates Bruce Lee, in case you guys don't know.
Yeah.
And he does his flying bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that, the double bicycle kick. They can do that in the game, stuff like that. It's different attacks, you know. It's pretty cool. And they got the moves right. It's just that, to me, and it's funny because I didn't think it would be like this, but it actually looks like they made some of the Tekken characters overpowered. Like, more powerful.
Do you think that's to balance the whole entire concept that maybe, you know, this is kind of, you know, since it's in the Street Fighter world, that those characters would be, you know, they'd be better to use since you can't, like, sidestep and, like, some of the tactics you would use in a Tekken game.
Yeah.
So the way to counter that was, like, overpower the Tekken characters.
I guess maybe that's what they had in store, because there's certain, like Kuma, right? Kuma is a bear. Okay, the bear character, like, couple of hits, like, he could damage you pretty good. Like, and there's another character that I call Blade. You know, his name's Raven, but he looks like Blade. Like, you know, like what's his name? The Wesley Snipes. Yeah, he looked just like Wesley Snipes, Raven, but like, they made him very quick and, like, responsive, and, like, they're pretty strong, stuff like that.
Yeah. So do you see an equal balance, like, say, like, tournament level of competing? Do you see a balance of people will be using Tekken characters as much as they will use Street Fighter, or you still think, you know, Street Fighter is really gonna, like, overcome Tekken?
There's some characters that are really good that I really see I think are tournament worthy. And
from the Tekken
obviously,
side?
yeah. I think Jin is already tournament worthy. His father, Hitachi, whatever his name is. The guy, the bigger guy with the gray hair, just like Jin. But he's nasty. I could get like a 12 hit, 13 hit combo off him, and it's just good setup. He has a lot of setups to set up someone else.
That's cool.
And the cool thing about this game is that I don't want to forget about this part. It's very important. There's a lot, like, the training mode about the game. Like, it took me forever to do it. It takes a while to do it. There's so much buttons to learn and stuff like that. But there's stuff that, like, you can hit someone, you hit and you do a special move and you hit and launch them up, and then it automatically sends your teammate and you can continue a combination like that. So it's very team strategy wise in this game. Now, that speaking, like by saying that, like, you gotta understand that you have to play and know when to tag out and when to switch out, because if you just switch out without doing the move, like, it might set up the other person to get tapped really bad, because, like, it's a slight delay, like, when they're running in, for you to react and block or anything. So the other person could just attack you. You're open for attack. That's why they want you to do certain moves, like, as you're hitting someone, then you tag them out. Like, you gotta do something. You can't just have the other person standing still and then you bring the other person in, because they can do whatever they want. That person, they have a good second, which is a lot of time in the Street Fighter world. So it's pretty crazy in that sense. You know, like, so far I like the game though. The way it looks, you know, the way it looks is amazing. It looks like well done. Everything looks great, you know. Even online play, some problems online play. There's glitches.
I've heard there had some latency issues.
Yeah, the music,
which is kind of, you know, something they gotta fix if you're gonna have an online mode.
The music goes out. The music cuts out and stuff like that. But also on top of the music cutting out, there's inputs that don't go in all the time. Like, there's sometimes I press something, my combo drops, the input's not going into the computer. Like, and the online's dropping inputs. And Marvel vs. Capcom, they made up like it was a slight delay between what you're pressing and what's going on online for a reason. They did that so that it can always put the inputs in, and it'll make up like a scene. So sometimes like it looks slightly different from what you press, but like they make up the frame online. That's why it's a second delay. They can make up the frame, but this is right on top of it, and it skips inputs sometimes, which is not good. It's never going to skip inputs, and it's a lagging enough sometimes. And now you're going to be missing some of the buttons I'm pressing, and what's the purpose of playing online, you know? So I did not like that. But since I'm on an online topic, here's a very, very, very bad thing that Capcom did, and they already said they're not going to fix it. So, if you guys got the 360 version of Street Fighter X Tekken, you read inside the manual or whatever, and it says, oh, online play, that's cool. 2-player split screen online play, or 2-player online play. Awesome, cool. Close the book, you're good. Go on there, turn on the Xbox 360, play the game, and then what do you find out? You can't do that. The only system that can do it is PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 allows you and a friend to go online together to play against other people. As you play with teammates and you play against other people, just like Mortal Kombat does and stuff like that. Are you serious? They did not do that for 360, even though they wrote it down. 360 does not allow them to do it, and they said so when they're questioned about it. They said, oh, it was a misprint, meaning that they're not intending on it. They're not intending on putting it on for 360. So
obviously PS3 is a better version.
Their excuse right away is that the fact that 360 doesn't allow them with the gamer tag, allow them to do what the system that they had doesn't allow both players to go at the same time.
Yeah, horseshit.
And what people said right away is, and how come they could do it for Mortal Kombat? It has the same exact system when 2 players could go in. So it makes no sense. But the point is that the 360 version is different from the PS3 version, and that's a big difference because you want to play with someone else because that's a team fight. You know what I mean? Why do I want to go switch it up? Computer. I think it'll be, if I have a friend over, I think it's more fun to be like, oh, let's me and you go against other people online.
That's uncalled for.
That's amazing.
I think based on that, the Xbox 360 should be reduced price. Yeah. If you're gonna take a feature out that's not the other version, then it should be $10 more.
This is a perfect game. That's like, oh, let's play together against other people online. Exactly. That's an awesome thing to do. And there's so much better modes that you could do online and in person. Yeah. But I just think that's a horrible waste the way they did that. That was really, really bad. But I mean, there's more things I did like that's pretty cool. This is not the huge selling point, but it is pretty cool. Is the fact that you can have all 4 players on at the same time. Because this is a 1 to 4 player game. Cool. So you can have you and 3 other players play at the same time. You can have you're beating up each other, tag out. The 4th player comes and stuff like that. But also they have scramble mode where all 4 players are on the screen at the same time.
It's kind of like a free for all.
It's you're working as a team together still, but it's chaos because you're talking about you're fighting someone, and the minute someone's KO'd, the round's over. Like the team won. Yeah. But the thing is crazy about it, 2 people could gang up on 1 person, and you could be fighting with someone on this side, and you have to turn around and fight the other person. It's pretty cool.
And that's cool because that's probably the best part about fighting games. The party element. Everyone in one room, crowded around the screen. Fighting, and that's great because usually you'll have one person fighting and another person, 2 people, and then everyone will swap in depending who wins and stuff. Now you got 4 people, and the more the merrier.
The funny thing is, it's like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like. That's cool.
It's just figured you can do certain things that it's pretty cool because you could do a throw. I was playing online there's other people. I threw someone. As he threw the flip, he did a fire, and then as soon as he did his fireball, I turned around. I did the special on them. I attacked them and dropped them. It was awesome, the way you do things. But that right there is not really as much skill as it is fun when it's scramble mode. But when you're doing 2 versus 2, 2 players versus 2 players, and you tag out, tag in, like that is skill. That's really good. Some people are really good together as a team, and like it's pretty cool that they have the team aspect. You have to know when to tap out and stuff like that. And it's not like other games where, like you die, the other player comes in and continues. No. The whole purpose of it, if you die, you lose the round. So that's why you have to know when to tag out, because even if you die, you still lose. It's not just because the other person has a full bar of health you're going to do anything. You have to tag out and let him come in.
But you can still keep that life, or
like they have a soft yellow color and a hard yellow color. Hard yellow is your actual life, and the soft is where it could be. So that when you tap out and go back out, say like this is like how much you have. You're going to recuperate the longer out to that soft.
So it's basically you get one guy down, that side wins, basically.
Yeah. So that's why you have to know when to tap out.
That's a lot more cooperative.
Yeah, because now you have to know when to tap out. Because you're out there the whole time. You're getting beat up. Like next thing you know, someone does one big move on you, and you lost the round.
Yeah, I think there's always plus and minuses, but I think the good thing about that is, say you're on a team with someone, you need a good team, not just one person who's really good, like say that person always dies and the other guy tags in and he always beats him because he's really, really good, like you really need to work together to tag in and out to win, so that's pretty cool.
You have to know when to tag out too, because some people take too long to tag out, like they're waiting till their life's almost gone, even though they're doing severe damage to both players, they're waiting too long, and then the next thing they do, they just tap out quickly, and then like I said, if you don't tap out the right way, like they have moves where you're pressing the R1, R2 at the same time, then like when the person's open, so you do a combination R1, R2 at the same time, and like he does like a launch, and it does like a cinematic launch where it freezes like this, and then launches the person in the air in slow motion, and then your teammate comes in. Yeah. So like that's how you tag, but that takes away one bar on the bottom, so you don't have to tag like that, but I'm just saying, like, that's the best way to tag, because it's a powerful hit, plus it takes one bar away from your life, and your teammate comes in to have a clean attack. And before the land, they could do something like, usually like a middle low kick, and then, get a couple more hits to extend that combo before the other person attacks stuff. But
do they have moves where, like, both players can, like, attack at the same time?
Yeah, they have, it's sort of like, I think it's when you got three, don't quote me on it, I think it's when you have full 3 bars, and I think it has something to do with the gems as well. But there's a way that you could lock it. You got like about 5 seconds, the other player comes in and both of you are on at the same exact time, and you could like attack the other person. So if you're playing by yourself, then the computer is obviously the one attacking, but then you could go ahead and do your moves and stuff like that. So that's one of the extra features that they added in this game, which is pretty cool. You have to know when to use it, but at the same time, someone can actually perform damage on the person that comes in too.
Do they still have ultras and all that stuff they had from Street Fighter 4?
Like, you mean the ultra?
Yeah, with that combo meter that fills up, and then you can do those ultra moves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The meters, there's 3 meters on the bottom. That's the meters that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
You have to wait till that's full to do any of those moves like that.
And that's addition to the gems and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you have 3 bars there, 3 gems up top.
How many freaking bars is this game, man?
No, the gems are highlighted. So like it's 3 bars. You gotta pay attention to freaking gems. You gotta pay attention to the clock in the middle.
So I guess is why the training mode is 5 hours.
The training mode.
They tell you how many bars you have to look at, man.
It's crazy. And like the trials, like I'm used to be so good at Chun-Li. I was good at Ryu, and I couldn't even beat a couple of Chun-Li's like final, like I think she had 19 trials, and I was stuck on number 18. Also for Sagat, I couldn't even figure out some of his moves. Like some of them are timing, like some of them are severe timing. For like Sagat's move, like for the trials, like you have to do like it's like low kick, high punch, low kick, launch him up in the air, and you have to do a high kick. And you have to do a high kick, like barely touching the air just to make it launch a little bit more, and then do a special. Because otherwise, when you do his dragon punch, which is like the uppercut, the flying uppercut, you'll go through the character, like a miss. So you have to, everything's about timing in this game, and the timing changed up from what it used to be. So it's a very complicated game, but it is fun. And I mean, I like every aspect of it. It's a lot to practice though. Like it's something you really gotta sit down and learn players and.
Yeah. So do you feel if you're a Tekken player or Street Fighter player, either fan base, you think this game will satisfy those two?
Yeah, it'll satisfy you, but I mean, of course, it's not gonna satisfy you as much more if you're a Tekken fan.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you Tekken fan, they're gonna get their real game coming out soon. The new Tekken, the new Tekken's gonna come out, and like that's the one that they're waiting for. That's back to 3D style. Because the whole thing about Tekken is you get a sidestep, and that's a huge thing. That's what you didn't have to do that in Street Fighter. You know, you don't have to do that Street Fighter. Yeah. And Tekken, it's a whole new strategy. When you got a sidestep, know when to sidestep. You have to know, like you could do a special. Someone could just sidestep, and then you completely miss it. But I'll tell you right now, some of the Tekken characters are freaking quick. Like they use Rufus. Rufus is the fat guy from Tekken with like he has like the braided hair or whatever, like the fat white guy, a blob. He's quick. He's super quick. And if you got Rufus on the team and you got like Zangief together, like there's so many people that could do so much damage. Like it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's so much to do, but I mean that game is definitely something you guys should check out. If you have the time, go there and learn it. I mean, you might as well start learning now because it's going to take you a long time to figure it out.
And you got to catch up with all the people who had the game early.
Yeah, but the people that had it for like months in advance. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I'm sure once we go to PAX East in Boston, there's going to be just like when I was there last year. All they had was Marvel vs. Capcom at every booth. Like different booths. If it's a TV, they want you to check out the gaming room or something like that. You just sat down and you were allowed to play it and stuff like that. I guarantee you, Street Fighter X Tekken is gonna be everywhere. You know, they're gonna have a tournament, everything. So I'm kind of anxious to see what it's like over there. That's why I'm gonna be training right now. So I will be ready to play a little bit over there. At least
should be exciting, man. Definitely should be exciting.
It will be exciting.
It's always great to see those type of games and an environment like that.
Yeah. I mean, you know. That's just the way it is, you know. Japanese games sometimes are pretty good, but then sometimes Japanese games are not too good. Which
I like how you did that.
That's a debate. You like that, right?
I like the little transition.
The little transition from Capcom, which is someone that actually pretty much knows what they're doing Japanese games, to the other part of Capcom that doesn't know what they're doing. But anyway, let's go on to the topic.
So intro to the topic. Basically, we're going to talk about what we feel about modern Japanese games, and this basically came off of a comment was made by a developer. This was during GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference. It happened last week. It was actually two indie developers. One was Jonathan Blow, creator of Braid, and Phil Fisher, who's the creator of Fez. And basically, they made a couple comments about how they felt about Japanese games when they were asked by a reporter. So, Jonathan Blow said that he felt like the Japanese games were joyless experiences, and Phil Fish said all Japanese games suck. And and some of their comments were based on certain types of mechanics that Japanese games still have since they've been when they were popular back in the days. And Jonathan Blow brought up that he feels like there's a lot of hand holding in Japanese games. There's a lot of filler content. He says he feels that more Western games, they treat you like an adult. They introduce some concepts to you, whereas Japanese games they slowly introduce concepts throughout the whole entire experience. The major point with Final Fantasy he made up was that the game doesn't get good until you're 8 hours into the game, and it made some valid points. And they called this guy Phil Fisher. They're calling him a racist because he said all Japanese games sucked, and he was just saying that he doesn't feel that he really liked Japanese games back in the day, but he feels like American games are really prominent now, and certain genres are more prominent than others, and those games are really ones that Japanese games are not accustomed to, or making games in that genre, aka like first person shooters and so forth. But so I mean, based on that comment, I kind of agree with him. I mean, you feel differently than me, I assume. What do you feel about Japanese games?
You gotta keep in mind that I actually was in Japan for a while. I remember, I went there I went to higher education before I worked at EA and stuff like that. So, I actually went to Japan. I was there for a good 4 months. So, I had plenty of time there. went to different arcades, stuff like that, man, they have freaking arcades everywhere. They got arcades that you go in there, nothing but smoke. They smoke so much cigarettes in those arcades, but it's pretty cool because they got levels and levels of arcades and stuff like that. And when you go over there, you see their style of gaming. Like they like a lot of those fighting games, obviously, like Street Fighter, stuff like that. They got all different versions of fighting games, and they got like a lot of shooter games too. Like shooter games, I'm talking about like not first person shooter, I'm talking about flying space shooter type games. Like they love that stuff over there. And another game that they like, that it's weird because like over here we'll never have like a RPG style game. They have RPG style game as an arcade game, like in an arcade thing, and you sit there like, because they know that they'll sit there for hours playing it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And to me, those are the style of games that they like. They like those RPG style games where they get to live the character. Remember how you talked about before, like about you like the way that like you felt like you're part of the world, like for Mass Effect, stuff like that. Like that's what they started all that. Like they really started that style. Those RPGs that people like now, they're the ones that started all this stuff to begin with. You know, all those Final Fantasy, those role playing games.
And I agree with you. I feel like they started it, but I felt like they didn't evolve. That's what I kind of feel.
Well,
I think that Western games, they evolved the role playing. Because, you know, take for example, something like, you know, even back in the day, like Baldur's Gate or something like that. Like BioWare is the one I really, you know, look at when I talk about, like they basically made Western, you know, RPGs where they are today. You know, BioWare 2 and Interplay, you know. And a lot of those people are in like companies like Bethesda and so forth. Like they really made these games where it was really open, you know, where you made different decisions and stuff like that. And you know, this is the thing, like I feel like there's some Japanese games out there that are doing that, but a lot of them aren't, you know. But I think it's like the exception to the rule. I mean, you have games like Catherine is a perfect example where like it's like they do one part so good, like the story and those choices so great, and then but the actual gameplay, I can't. It's horrible, you know what I mean?
It's pretty. I like that.
Yeah.
I like because I like that puzzle style of the game, and like it was pretty cool. It was something that's the perfect example of what their style. Like they like games like that where you use strategy and you have to think. Yeah. And like they like to combine that with their RPGs and stuff like that. Like and it's just the way it is. Like you're talking about a story mode. You got to see their Japanese animation, stuff like that. They love stuff like that, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is. They love those fighting games. They love those action games. You know, like, think about what's the other one from Capcom? Asura's Wrath?
To me, that's like exactly what I don't like about modern Japanese games. It's like, at the same time, it's like they're doing all these different things. Like, the presentation of it looks great, but like the actual game part of it, it's like, well, you know, it's not like a game. Like
because like they have it stuck in their mind that they like people to feel like they're part of a movie, like they're part of that's pretty much what it is. Asura's Wrath, the prime example of that. Like a lot of people, especially the Japanese culture, they love to feel like they're part of the movie, like they get to live the experience. You know what I mean? And like Asura's Wrath is like a Japanese animation like movie. You know, and with some buttons.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's kind of interesting because you know what it is about Japanese games? I feel like, in terms of pure creativity, they're way more creative than us. Whereas, mechanically based, like, in terms of gameplay, I think we're better. What I mean by that is, like, I feel like there's a million first-person shooter games out there. Like, our ideas over here are really stale. I think we do the same exact games over and over again, and just, like, up the ante of the gameplay mechanics of it. Whereas I feel like in Japan they're so creative in terms of like the type of experiences you have. Like a game like Catherine, an American developer would never make. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. But I feel like at the same time, like they have to catch up on that gameplay aspect because it's still a game. You know, and I feel like that's really where.
See, the thing is, they had stuff that pushed the limits, and if without games, like I'll name one game that without that game, all of these games would not be the way it was, and that's Metal Gear. Yeah. And you cannot take away Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was a great gameplay, great story. You felt like you're in a movie. It pushed the limits of all these other games that's like, oh, wait a second, we can make this like a movie as we're playing games. Because without Metal Gear, they never had those cutscenes. All these games never had cutscenes until Metal Gear Solid, the original one, came out. And then all of a sudden, all these games started doing that after Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why Metal Gear Solid, the original was a 10, and then the last one was a 10.
Yeah, and I think that's the exception to the rule. I obviously believe it, but out of how many games that come out, like, how many games are like Metal Gear?
What?
I mean, it's obviously everyone likes Metal Gear, but at the same time, like, if you look at Metal Gear and you didn't know anything about video games, would you know it's a Japanese developer or American developer? Would you be able to tell?
Without a doubt.
I wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't be able to tell.
Right off the bat, you can tell the style, like the body, the movements of the body and stuff like that. That's Japanese style.
But it's not. This is my point. It's not a Japanese. It's not like anime or something. It's not like a Japanese theme. It's about Western culture. That's what the whole time Metal Gear is about. So it's you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're just talking like pure like Japanese, and we can say the same thing like, all right, you know, Nintendo as well. I think they're the perfect example of why I don't like modern Japanese games. It's because I feel like even though like a Nintendo, you can't say they're a bad game, but have they really evolved from like, is Mario Galaxy so different from Mario 64? Is the current Zelda so much different from the older Zeldas? You know what I mean? It's the same formula that they're doing for years.
Here's the problem. See, you're getting confused with American Japanese and Japanese. There's so many great games that do not come to the U.S. Mm-hmm. If you look online, you get stuff from eBay and stuff like that. There's so many graphically intense action, gameplay, you name it. It's games that are out there for Japan that have not crossed over to our PS3. That's because sometimes, like PlayStation, Sony limits it. They don't want to give you that.
A perfect example. There have been some like RPGs that have been released. I think like Last Story and so forth, and they released them after they've been in Japan for years. Yeah. And they do critically well, but do they sell? They're very niche. Well, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for them. The thing is you're talking
about people that had the PS3 how many years before we did? Like you're talking about they're so far advanced, like their games and stuff like that. That's why it feels old here, but you gotta keep in mind that is because it also is old here. Mm-hmm. They had that game for how many years before we heard it? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing you gotta understand. A lot of their great games do not come over here, and like I don't know because the prejudice against the U.S. or something like that, but the way I feel is that they don't send all their best games here, and like I know there's a lot of games you could look up online, you could see anything, and the Super Nintendo games. There's games from the original PlayStation, different RPGs, different things that never made it cross.
Yeah, but like I said, they're very niche, and like even their best games, like say like probably the best Japanese game of this generation, like two of them are like Bayonetta and Vanquish, because you know I think that you know in terms of like character action games, Japanese developers do better, you know, but role playing absolutely not. I couldn't. That's why I think they call them Japanese role playing games. Because like it's a separate subgenre of role-playing games, and then you have Western, you know, role-playing games. But I mean, people just call them RPGs. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what they call JRPGs, and I think that was their biggest genre, JRPGs. And like it's pretty much just Final Fantasy is the only one that sells anymore, and like even that fan base is falling off for the reasons I said before. You know, especially the last one, because it's like I don't feel like they're evolving with the times, you know?
See, another problem I think that isn't fair to compare that, because you're talking about something's designed. Like, say if, like, you say a joke in Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. Then you say the same joke in English. It's not as funny as it was in Spanish, because it was targeted for a different culture, a different way of saying it. When you translate it over, it loses the effect that it had. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these games are being transferred from the regular Japanese style, the jokes and the culture that they added, because certain things are different. Some of the things we find funny here may be different over there. Yeah. Some of the things they find funny there is different from here. So they have like different jokes and different stuff and comedy or different story that they like, and they put in their story to make it for their people to relate to it, and then they try to translate it to English, and it doesn't translate over. And that's the thing you have to understand. When you make a game that's culturally based, because it is, then when you translate it over, it's not going to have the same effect no matter how you do it, because some people don't think certain things are funny in a different culture, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that I think that's more of a story-based thing. When I'm talking, my main complaints are not with the stories; it's more with the gameplay. I feel like if you look at like one of the only successful Japanese games that came out this generation is Demon Souls and Dark Souls. And why are those games so great? Because they're challenging and have great gameplay. And I feel that that's the area that a lot of Japanese developers are lacking. Like for example, like Binary Domain. Game just came out, right? It's a shooter game. Mm-hmm. That game is not catering to Japanese audiences. They're trying to cater to American audiences. For what? They're never going to get the mechanics for shooters the way we have the mechanics down for shooters. I mean, the thing is, I feel like if they're going to make a shooter game, do something like Vanquish where it's completely different than our type of games. Mm. Like Binary Domain looks like your standard military third-person shooter. Like, it's not going to be Gears. You know what I mean? They even had that fake Gears knockoff that they made in there. It's like, make Vanquish. That's what the Japanese games are good at. Those crazy creative, very fancy,
for me,
stylized games.
I just think in general people should stay away from first person or any shooters for now. It's too crowded for shooters right now. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Like, give it a couple of years, then do a shooting game. It's too crowded right now. Your game's might be walked all over. They might like it. Most likely they're gonna walk all over it because they're gonna compare it to Gears for third person, or they're gonna compare it to Call of Duty for first person.
And that's the thing. I feel like there's just not enough Japanese games in the areas where they're strong at. Why does it take a Western developer to make a Kingdoms of Amalur with a great action combat, not a Japanese developer? Japanese been making better action games for years now, right? But now we're making the better action games because we're getting all these different elements and we're making a complete package where, like, Japanese, they're always lacking. Like Bayonetta, a perfect example, like probably the best action game in terms of mechanics, but the story was retarded. You know what I mean? It was that weird Japanese quirky stuff, we're talking about. I get what you're saying, like some stuff doesn't translate over, but that's just a poor excuse. I mean, if Catherine could have a good story, other Japanese games could have a good story too. You know what I mean? You just have to put the resources into getting the right localization teams to bring the stuff over, So, I mean, I think we kind of see each other's point.
It goes back to that whole which one's better, Xbox, PlayStation, same thing. Yeah. Japanese style, you're going to go with
I mean, we obviously know that the answer is PC, that's the better. Obviously.
Well, which PC? A Japanese style PC or...
Japanese don't make PCs.
It doesn't matter. The moral of the story is, it doesn't matter who makes whatever, it's all made in Taiwan. So
it's all made by Foxconn. But I mean, I really just, I just feel like I want Japanese games, to evolve, I want them to, take risks, but at the same time, like, try to stay out of niche markets, like, as Demon Souls and Dark Souls and games like that have shown that you can reach a wider audience if you give the elements and mechanics of Western games that we want, and it'll satisfy Japanese players as well.
See, the thing is, you're asking them to change their culture, because their culture, they're very proud people, and they don't change who they are. And that's the thing you gotta see. They do something, they do it over and over again. They don't rarely change the way they are. I mean, that's like telling the people from like the Oscars and stuff, like, the old white people that are in charge of everyone to win an award, like, oh no, you should change.
Well, I mean, don't you think it's a generational thing? I mean, don't you think it's, you got these old, very firm Japanese businessmen are very hierarchical and they don't want things to change, and then you got the younger folk, with this new, flat type of way of thinking, and that's eventually going to change, and that's kind of how I feel. I feel like it will change. It will change.
I don't know about that.
I hope so.
The way it's been like that, Japan, the way they do things there, it's a lot different.
You think it'll change?
Not like the U.S. I mean, U.S., we got rebellious children. So, like, like, it's not like that. Like, over there, like, they're strict. Like, so, I don't know.
We'll see. I think it'll be interesting, because the worst thing I want is for the freaking place that started the video game culture to go away, and it really worries me, especially like Nintendo. I mean, they're the biggest Japanese company, and
don't put down Nintendo. The Wii U is coming soon.
I had little to no excitement for
the
this
best
system.
part is they're going to show part of it in PAX East, so we'll be seeing the Wii U. So I'll bring the camera.
In this thing.
I'm kind of interested. You know what I mean? Like,
So you're a little bit more open to Japanese games.
No,
than I am.
I'm open to see what they're doing. I still don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of the whole controller, and that's a whole nother argument. We'll debate another day.
See, because it'll be real interesting to see, because you did one of your favorite games of last year was Zelda. It'll be real interesting to see what do you feel about that game and compare it to something like Darksiders. Because to me, like, I like that concept of Zelda. The new Darksiders coming out. Yeah. You know, and I'm more excited for the new Darksiders than I'll ever be for Zelda. Yeah. And it's because I feel like that game hasn't changed in years, and I feel like saying something like Darksiders brings something new to the table.
See, the thing is, like I wasn't. See, it's different. Okay? I wasn't going into the game worried about graphics because I knew right away Zelda was in the Wii, so I wasn't worried about that. I already took graphics out of there. Yeah. I can't judge something on the graphics when I already know the graphics are not going to be intense. So that's why I judge it based on fun and this stuff.
No,
so
that's fair.
That's what I did. But Darkseid, you better believe I'm going to judge it by graphics. And now I want to compete with the big boys. The guy that compete with the big boys. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like that's just the way it is. So, but with that said, we're gonna go over what's gonna come up the upcoming week or so. I'm gonna be doing Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. So what other stuff that's gonna be done? We're actually gonna get some co-op done today. A little co-op today.
Yeah, we're gonna do new Call of Duty maps that are out for Elite. We're also gonna do a new Uncharted DLC. A little bit of Shoot Man Robots. We'll see how that game is. It's the reviews have been mixed. I'll say that. And besides that, Kingdoms of Amalur new DLC is coming out next week. I'll be doing a little bit of that. Warp, I'll try to get a walkthrough done for that. It's a pretty short game. Right. But besides that, and we've pretty much gone through the brood of games. I'll be finishing up the Mass Effect walkthrough and the Mass Effect 3 review.
Then you're gonna see a whole bunch of different footage. But the thing is, Street Fighter, once I start putting the footage for Street Fighter X Tekken, it's gonna be a whole bunch of footage, but you're gonna be seeing it for the next month or so. Yeah. Every now and then, anytime I have a chance, we just put different footage in there. So that's why, in case you were like wondering why I didn't see any footage yet when I said it's gonna be there, it's gonna start coming by this weekend. And then after that, you're just gonna see footage every now and then because even while I'm playing other games, I'm going to be doing more Street Fighter. Cause I gotta practice too, so I gotta show you me getting my butt whipped online with all the network errors. But we'll see with that. So
So I mean, there's it's, after Raccoon City, it's gonna be pretty few games coming out. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we have scheduled Prototype 2 for April.
Yeah, but we will have a lot of footage from April because once we're at PAX East, we're going to film a lot of
That's going to be our main thing in PAX East. We're going to have
a lot of different tapes, a lot of different footage, different games coming out. We'll even have a podcast over there. So there's definitely a lot of stuff upcoming. So definitely check us out. Definitely go to our website, www.not2nerdy.com. It'll be on the section below. So you guys click on it.
Hector's done a lot of work on the site. It's a lot easier to find.
We did some more work, So now you could definitely click on anything, pretty much, orders, reviews, whatever you got to click on. You can actually find the games that we're looking for in order from the most recent that we did up top to the oldest on the bottom. And if you can't find the specific game you're looking for, I got right on top. You can select from the number sign all the way A through Z and select the exact game you're looking for and see if we did it already. If so, you could click on it, go click the reviews, get the scores that we gave, and that's pretty much it. Everything's right there. We're trying to get the site a little bit better.
Yeah, but, just give us any feedback you have. Whether or not it's the site, YouTube, anything. Feel free to either on Twitter, reply to us on YouTube. Any of those mediums for contact with us. We look for feedback. Leave us comments on our YouTube pages, like our videos. Yeah, definitely.
Alright, well, I guess that's it for episode 9, right? Alright, well, this is Hector.
This is Drew.
And we're from Not2Nerdy Entertainment. See you, YouTube.